History whispers before it screams, and right now it's whispering warnings of a potential global collapse. It's a silent dialogue we all need to tune into, one that could mean the difference between being prepared or being caught off guard. Let's start with the basics. We've all noticed the rising prices and shrinking packages at our local grocery stores. It's not just your imagination. This is a clear sign of economic instability. When manufacturers can't afford to keep prices stable, they resort to reducing the size of their products while keeping the price the same. It's a subtle sign of a deeper problem. Then there's fuel instability. You've probably experienced the frustration of rolling power outages. This is often a result of high energy demands outstripping supply. It's a sign that our energy infrastructure is under stress and struggling to keep up with demand. And what about the unpredictable global supply chains? We've seen stretched shipping routes, sudden spikes in certain goods, and a general sense of unpredictability. This isn't normal. It's a sign that global trade systems are under stress, and it's a warning that we should all be paying attention to. Then there's the issue of currency instability. When the value of money fluctuates unpredictably, it's a clear sign of economic instability. It's a warning that our economic structures are under stress and may be on the brink of collapse. These signs are the quiet beginnings of something much larger. Money talks, and when it starts to stutter, it's time to pay attention. In the grand scheme of things, financial indicators are the canaries in the coal mine. They're the earliest warning signs of a collapse, and they're often overlooked. So what should we be watching out for? First up is surging debt and inflation. When nations start to owe more than they can ever hope to repay and the cost of living begins to skyrocket, it's a sign that the economy is on shaky ground. It's like trying to build a skyscraper on a foundation of sand. Sooner or later it's going to crumble. Next, we have banks tightening lending. This is a clear signal that the financial institutions are battening down the hatches. They're bracing for a storm. When banks become less willing to lend, it means they're worried about the ability of borrowers to pay back. It's a sign that the financial weather forecast is predicting heavy rain. Then we come to currency devaluation. When a nation's currency starts to lose its value, it's like a silent thief in the night, eroding the purchasing power of the people. It's a sign that the economy is struggling to stay afloat. Lastly, we have job losses hidden behind manipulated stats. Unemployment rates can be massaged and manipulated to paint a rosy picture, but the reality on the ground can be starkly different. When job losses start to mount, it's a sign that businesses are struggling, and the economy is heading for a downturn. These financial indicators are like the first spots of rust on a bridge. Ignored, they might seem inconsequential, but they're a sign of a deeper structural problem that, if left unchecked, can lead to catastrophic failure. So, watch out for these signs. They're the invisible writing on the wall that often precedes a collapse. When the financial world starts to wobble, the real world isn't far behind. Government actions often foreshadow looming crises, and right now those actions are raising red flags. Historically, the government's first response to a brewing crisis is to consolidate power. Emergency executive powers are often invoked, granting the government the authority to bypass typical checks and balances. This is usually framed as a necessary measure for swift action during times of crisis. However, it's worth noting that these powers can be, and often are, used to control information, suppress dissent, and restrict freedoms. Another common tactic is the imposition of limits on fuel or resource hoarding. You see, when the government starts to regulate how much of a resource you can have, it's often a sign that there's a shortage on the horizon. This is done under the guise of preventing panic buying and ensuring equitable distribution. However, it can also be seen as a way for governments to manage dwindling resources. Then, there are the new temporary restrictions. Governments often introduce these as quick fixes to immediate problems. However, history has shown us that these temporary measures have a nasty habit of becoming permanent. They can include restrictions on travel, trade, or even personal freedoms, all in the name of national security or public health. And finally, let's talk about surveillance. An increase in surveillance is a common red flag. When governments feel threatened, they often ramp up efforts to monitor their citizens. This could take the form of increased data collection, heightened security measures, or even the deployment of military or police forces. Now, it's important to remember that these actions don't always mean a collapse is imminent, but they do align with historical patterns seen before major crises, and more importantly, they signal a loss of stability. What's worrying is that we're seeing these red flags right now, all over the world. Governments are invoking emergency powers, imposing restrictions, and increasing surveillance. And while each action can be justified in isolation, together, they paint a concerning picture of a world on the edge of instability. So, What does this mean for you? It means staying informed, staying vigilant, and preparing for potential disruptions. It means understanding that when governments tighten their grips, it's a sign that control is slipping away. Remember, knowledge is power, especially in uncertain times. And right now, understanding these government red flags could be the difference between being blindsided by a crisis and weathering the storm. When governments tighten their grips, it's a sign that control is slipping away. Society is a mirror of stability, and right now, that mirror is cracking. At this moment, we are witnessing a rise in social tensions and behavioral shifts, underlining the growing instability of our society. Unrest is escalating within our cities, as frustrations mount and grievances go unheard. People are taking to the streets, their voices echoing off the concrete canyons of our metropolises, a testament to the growing divide that is splitting our society apart. Polarization is seeping in, not just into our political spheres, but into our everyday interactions. Neighbors argue over fences, families are divided at dinner tables, and friendships are strained under the weight of differing beliefs. We are becoming a society of us versus them, with common ground shrinking beneath our feet. Theft, desperation, break-ins. These are no longer just headlines in the morning paper, but realities in our neighborhoods. As resources become scarce and the cost of living rises, desperation drives people to acts they would have once deemed unthinkable. The night's darkness is punctuated by the sound of shattering glass, a stark reminder of the desperation that lurks in the shadows. And then there's trust, the invisible thread that ties a community together. Trust in systems, in institutions, in each other. But that thread is fraying, worn thin by the constant strain of uncertainty and fear. Banks, governments, corporations, the pillars of our society, are viewed with suspicion and doubt. And when that trust finally breaks, the consequences are immediate and destructive. When people no longer trust the systems that are meant to protect them, when they feel abandoned by those in power, they turn inward, towards self-preservation, and this is where collapse accelerates. It's a vicious cycle, a downward spiral that feeds on fear and mistrust. In the face of such a breakdown, it's easy to feel overwhelmed, to feel helpless. But knowledge is power, and understanding these signs, these shifts in behavior and social tension, is the first step towards preparedness. Because when trust fractures, society shatters. But it's in these moments of fracture that we have the opportunity to rebuild, to strengthen our communities and ourselves, to prepare, not just for the worst, but for the potential of what could come after. So let's remember, amidst the tension, the fear, and the uncertainty, there is always the potential for resilience. For in the face of adversity, we can rise, stronger than before. After all, it's not the shattering of the mirror that defines us, but how we piece it back together. When trust fractures, society shatters. Our modern world runs on a fragile network, and that network is starting to strain. Just imagine the journey that a single apple makes from a tree halfway around the world to your local grocery store. It's a complex dance of cultivation, harvesting, processing, packaging, and shipping. In normal times, this dance is so well choreographed that it's easy to take for granted, but these are not normal times. Food processing delays are becoming more common. A global labor shortage, coupled with an ongoing pandemic, has hit the agriculture industry hard. Farmers are struggling to harvest their crops, leading to a domino effect of delays that ultimately ends at your dinner table. And then there's the issue of import reductions. As countries grapple with their own internal crises, they're reducing the amount of goods they export. This means fewer products on our shelves and a smaller selection of goods to choose from. The rising costs of basic staples are another worrying sign. From bread to rice, prices are increasing at a rapid pace. For many, this means having to make difficult choices about what to buy and what to go without. Medication shortages are another concern. From everyday over-the-counter drugs to life-saving prescriptions, a breakdown in the supply chain can have dire consequences. And it's not just a hypothetical scenario. Right now, there are reports of shortages in various parts of the world. Let's not forget about the broader resource management. Water, electricity, gas. These are the lifeblood of our modern societies. Yet we're seeing more frequent outages, rationing, and price hikes. When you put all these pieces together, you get a picture of a complex and fragile system that's under immense strain. And when the veins of this system, our global supply chains and resource networks, start to clot, we see the symptoms surface. When the veins of our modern world begin to clot, the body of society starts to fail. The pieces of the puzzle are falling into place. So, how close are we to the picture they form? As we've seen, the financial, social, and resource stressors aren't occurring in isolation. They're overlapping, intertwining in ways that amplify their effects. The economic instability, the social upheaval, the strain on our supply chains, these are all interconnected threads in a tapestry of impending crisis. Let's look at the global stage. Events abroad are no longer distant news stories, they're catalysts for instability right here at home. Political unrest, environmental disasters, and economic crises in other countries ripple out, affecting us in ways we may not immediately perceive. It's a domino effect, one that's pushing us closer to the edge. Take the pressure on our supply chains, for example. It's not just about delayed shipments or higher prices for your favorite goods. It's about the farmer who can't get the necessary supplies to keep his crops growing. The factory worker who's laid off because her plant can't get the raw materials they need. The family who can't afford the rising cost of basic necessities. As the supply chain buckles, so does our society. But it's important to remember, this isn't about spreading fear. It's about fostering understanding and promoting preparedness. By recognizing these signs, by understanding their significance, we're better equipped to face whatever comes our way. We can prepare, adapt, and endure. We're living in a world that's more interconnected than ever before, and while that brings us many benefits, it also means that a shockwave in one part of the globe can reverberate in our own backyards. We need to stay informed, stay vigilant, and above all, stay prepared. The signs are converging. It's not a question of if, but when. As we navigate this increasingly uncertain landscape, remember, knowledge is power. And the more we understand about the world around us, the better positioned we'll be to weather the storm. The clock is ticking, and the time to prepare is now. Not tomorrow, not next week, not when things get worse. Now. The signs we've discussed are not just potential threats, they are the reality of our world today. They are the whispers of a storm brewing on the horizon. And like any storm, those who fare best are those who prepare in advance. Preparation is not about surrendering to fear or retreating from life. Quite the opposite. It's about embracing the foresight to recognize the challenges ahead and the resilience to face them head-on. It's about taking personal responsibility for your own survival and the well-being of your loved ones. We've walked through the early warning signs, the financial indicators, the government red flags, the social tension, and the breakdown of supply chains and resources. Each is a piece of the puzzle, a thread in the tapestry of our global situation, and when woven together, they paint a picture of urgency. It's important to remember that these signs are not isolated incidents, but interconnected pieces of a larger narrative. A narrative of a world in flux, a world on the brink of significant change. And within that narrative there is a crucial role for each of us to play. That role is one of readiness. It's about understanding the world around us, recognizing the signs of impending change, and taking proactive steps to prepare. It's about building a life that can withstand the shocks and stresses of an uncertain future. Because when the storm hits, it's not the strongest who survive, but those most adaptable to change. So let's adapt. Let's prepare. Let's arm ourselves with knowledge, with skills, with resources. Because in a world of uncertainty, the greatest certainty we have is our ability to prepare. And that preparation starts today. Remember, you'll never get an announcement before a collapse. Only dotornly, den de instansely. Warn sound. Some signs, and we're seeing more of them now than ever before. Prepare now, stay alert, and stay ahead of what's coming.